Hey everybody, it's LaDonna Marie, internationally multi-award winning author, speaker, and personal development life coach of LaDonna Marie Books, where my mission is to discover the champion in you through healing and changing the narrative in your life, one book at a time. You can shop and find out more information at www.ladonnamarie.org and check out the shop page. Welcome to Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Planting Positive Seeds, Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie. And I am so excited to be with you on tonight. We have an amazing guest tonight. I can't wait to bring him in. But before I do, I want to send a special shout out to all of you listeners who are hanging with us, rocking with us, sharing the podcast, telling your friends and family, visiting us on every platform that we're available. I just want to say a special thank you for coming to visit myself and Jade as we bring you each and every week the amazing special guests who pour into not only your life, but our lives as well. And so without further ado, tonight I have a special guest, a good friend of mine. We have been knowing each other for quite some time. And so I'm so excited to have Andrew on the show on tonight. And I'm going to read you his bio, part of his bio. This is a man of many hats. You all listeners out there, he does so many amazing things. And so author Andrew, the Illinois born and New Jersey raised author, is a Wake Forest University alumnus. His initial corporate background in auto insurance claims is complemented with his involvement with service programs like Bold for Kids Safe and with the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Metro Atlanta and other related programs. However, he reaches for more as he transitions into teaching in Gwinnett County Public Schools and also Pinckneyville Middle School. He serves as an advisor for after-school sports programs, the Yearbook, and the Lyricists Lounge Poetry Club. Snap, snap, snap. In addition to teaching language arts, social studies, and journalism, while making these positive inroads, and there's so much more in store. And so, ladies and gentlemen, all of you listeners in the United States and the countries around, I want to introduce to you Mr. Andrew. How are you on tonight?
Hey, good evening. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I am feeling pretty good. You know, it's a little nippy down here. It's in the upper 30s down here in Metro Atlanta, but I mean, it is December. But feeling good. Thank you so much for the opportunity to see your amazing staff, the amazing people that you reach. I pray and trust everyone's having a good day and really looking forward to a good holiday.
Thank you so much. Look, it's an honor to have you on the show. You know, I don't take it lightly that you come by to visit, you know, us here at Inspirational Talk. I really, really want to get the listening audience to know more about you. So I've shared a little bit about your bio and your body of work. Could you share anything that you feel that I may have missed that you want the listening audience to know about you, author Andrew?
Yeah, sure. On the business end, under my business, Creative Community Solutions, we pretty much do education-based services that ranges from tutoring, student coaching, ACT, SAT prep for students, and actually earlier today, taught an amazing group of student athletes at one of the high schools in the outer part of Metro Atlanta. My hats go off to young people who are open to investing in themselves, and there's a lot more that are and who want to than what we've been led to think. So shouts to them and amazing people, in the classroom, the nonprofit community. On the press and media end under our business, we've been able to work with a bunch of different small businesses. One of these business groups, 1820 Lifestyle, who does custom men's and women's fedoras. So actually, I had to pick mine up a little bit earlier.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But definitely working with different businesses and different events in regards to connecting with radio, television, online publications, of course, amazing podcasts like yours. And then under the writing branch, that's where I wear the author hat. So to date, since my debut in 2017, I've written 4 books, recorded an audiobook series where there's 5 volumes, and a couple other things that we'll get into. But I'm very excited for what we've been able to do, excited for what's on the horizon, extremely grateful to everybody who has worked with us, supported us, shared our info, things along those lines. And you have to always acknowledge people who take time to work with you, to speak life into you, so you're a better vessel to speak life into others.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. That was, that's amazing. The student coaching, from student coaching to the small business, helping out, fedora hats. Wow. Hats are my favorite. And just watching you, in radio and the media aspect, I follow you on Instagram and Facebook. I see the many things that you're doing, following the books that you have and the audiobooks and series. And I'm always so, proud and grateful that, I know you, I know, your work ethic. I know that you're doing so many great things and traveling the world at the same time. So I'm glad I was able to catch you in between you going out there in the world and sharing all of the great things that you have with other people. Andrew, since I've been knowing you, I've known that there's been an inspiration about you, because I love to see you. You say, hey, I'm going here this week. I'm going to this place this week. I'm doing this today. Tell the listening audience, what inspires you to do exactly what you do?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think ultimately it starts off with my parents. I know the time that my parents invested in me and my older sister, whether community-based programs, church-based programs, athletics, enrichment, like they did what they could to equip and empower us. And another thing I think of is an interview I did earlier this year, where I know that there's people known and unknown who advocated for me to be here. So when I think about the generation before me, or 2 generations before, or what have you, there were people who advocated for any of us to have access to the opportunities and resources that we have. Now, we know that there's still work to do, but based on the work that's been done, that's been a key motivator for me to connect and reconnect with the gifts I've been bestowed with. So when I look at, writing another book or branching off into something else or whatnot, it kind of ties in with the prayer that I do as part of my routine. Like, I'm thankful to God for the gifts that He has bestowed upon me that I know of and I'm using. I'm thankful for the gifts that He's bestowed that I know of that I haven't gotten around to using. But the thing I'm the most excited about are the gifts I have yet to discover. And I think that whole point of being able to discover, reveal all these types of things, where there's always something, more inside you. There's a hidden gift and talent that all of us have. It could be writing, it could be singing, it could be painting, it could be fashion. So we owe it to ourselves to continue to tap into more of who we are and whose we are. So when you see me doing a book signing, or you see me interviewing somebody, or I'm being interviewed, or I'm doing a festival or whatever, reminder that I have to continue to tap into the gifts that I've got and the gifts I've been blessed with. And hopefully it motivates, encourages, inspires, and empowers others to have the same type of wonder, the same type of discovery, the same type of, wow, you know what? There's some things I put on hold. Let me start tapping into these things and connecting. You never know where it can take you. You never know the people you can reach, including yourself. So that's pretty much it in regards to how I'm here and there and other spaces and places. Yes, ma'am.
That's great, and I love that you share, that you're thankful for the gifts yet to discover with everything that you're doing and everything that you've already added to life and books and music and even in spoken word with the books that you speak out in the audio books. I just love the fact that you have such a positive mindset that it's the gift that keeps giving, because you want to share what you've done with the world in many facets. And so I like when you said tap into who you are and whose you are. I was just talking about that earlier this week about, identity. And that's a big, important part of knowing who you are and fully being authentic in your journey. And so I'm so grateful that I get to see that, when I see you out in the social media streets and when we're at festivals, or I see you online, doing other things, and even on your talk show as well. And so just continue to shine and continue to do what God has put on you to do, because it's great. And I'm always, like I said, I'm always proud. So listeners, and I know this sounds like, I'm talking to an endearing friend. I've known him for such a long time. It's good when my friends get to come, and people that I know and people that we started this journey, when they get to come to the show, you all get a chance to, take a peek into their lives and see what they are, putting out in the world for you all to be able to know and to have, and to books to go grab. And so, Andrew, I want you to share with us some highlights. We always talk about highlights and achievements, but we know because God has put us on this earth and he's given all, like you said, these hidden talents and things that we have. But I want you to share with all of the listening audience some of the achievements that you've accomplished thus far.
Wow, that's another good question. And there's so many big and small. I think the biggest achievement is kind of what I said earlier, reminding myself who I am and whose I am. Getting here, as a number of people share, has not been easy. There's been moments of disappointment, hurt, frustration, kind of, quote, being left on the side of the road and things along those lines. So everything hasn't been smooth as silk. But in the midst of it all, just knowing who I am and whose I am, I think that's probably arguably the biggest achievement I have, because if I didn't have the mindset of, having that particular mindset, or something that I've shared when I do my weekly live chat, the Fast 15, and it's from the section that I pulled from the current release, quotes and notes, something's on the horizon. Just understanding, like, the size of your platform is important, but the most important thing is understanding you have one. Understanding that you have a voice. Understanding that if you choose to use them accordingly, you never know what impact you can have. And the impact might be down the road. So, like, you think about, like, things that we normally do that we're like, that's just an extension of who we are, that's how we are, but we don't know how meaningful that is for somebody else. Like, it might be your norm to say hello and how are you doing, but you might be the only person that checks on somebody all day long, and that might be the thing that helps them pause and pivot from whatever adversity or whatever they're dealing with. So, like I said, it's not that I haven't had any bad days, it's not to say I've never had any doubt or frustration, but when I pause and get my mind and spirit right and remember yes, I do have a gift for writing, or I do have a gift for whatever, interviewing. I do have a gift of working with the younger versions of us. I do have the ability to make some type of change in some way, shape, or form, through whatever work I'm doing. As long as I take time to remember that, then all these other accomplishments are the things that come. So with having that mindset and having those reminders and keeping things in check and perspective, that's what's allowed me to do 4 books. And that's really it. It really comes down to just faith. Like they say, faith without works is dead. Yes, you have to pray. Yes, you have to have faith. But then at some point, you've got to roll up your sleeves and put in the work. Like, I could talk about I want to be an author, but until I sit down and write, I can talk all day long, but I'm not doing the work behind it. So, again, from that central theme to being able to do what I've done, to meeting great people like you, to interviewing, on both sides, like, I think that's just the biggest accomplishment, getting my mind and spirit in better alignment. And the better aligned it is, the better I can be and continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to remember that there's spaces and places I've yet to go that I'm going to go. Now, where those spaces are, I don't know. But if you had told me when I did my first book that I would have been to, let's say, festivals in Mississippi or Chicago, or doing a book signing in Dallas, or on the press and media end covering a New Year's Six Bowl last year, or things along those lines, like, that's really the biggest thing. I mean, yeah. It really is. I can talk about all the other stuff I've been able to do, but I wouldn't be able to do it if not for my faith, if not for maintaining my perspective, and things along those lines. And I'll just tell anybody, like, if that's your gift and that's your talent, if that's what you're passionate about, and it's allowing you positive personal growth, community growth, professional growth, spiritual growth, then you owe it to yourself to pursue it, because you don't know how that can not only minister to other people, but it's ministering to yourself. So those things are probably, the byproduct is the work I've been able to do, but it all starts with the mindset and just working at it and showing yourself some grace when you mess up, because you're gonna mess up. Mm-hmm. You gotta show yourself some grace and have a little bit of a sense of humor and because some things are gonna like putting together a house with popsicle sticks. Like, unless you have some good crazy food, that thing's gonna fall apart.
Exactly.
Oh,
I know, right? Well, Andrew, thank you so much for just sharing, your perspective of your outlook in the way that you began. Many people, lose track of, what their vision is when things happen or things shake us up. But we always have to be able to look at the positive sides. And I love how you said, give yourself grace. That's one of the things on this entire journey of mine, that it was really, really something that I had to learn to give myself grace, because when I sit there and look at all of the things that I have accomplished and the places, like you said, that we've gone, and the things that we've been able to do, and then we can see that we know that we can continue to keep moving. And everything is not always gonna work out right. It might just fall down with those popsicle sticks, and you have to just pick it back up and start again. But the mindset and knowing who you are will take you a long way in those first steps of getting started, and it'll keep you going back and continue to starting over. So thank you for Andrew. I always ask our guests who come to share with us a time when you had to overcome an obstacle. We like to, plant positive seeds in the lives of others. There could be someone out there that's listening right now, who, is going through something. So could you share with them a point in your life where you had to overcome an obstacle?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. Like, which one do you want me to pick?
Start anywhere.
Oh gosh, I'll pick out like two that come to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is anyone who's an author, you have to understand that being an author is like running a marathon. It really is, whether you want to call it long game, long term. You're not always going to see things pop up initially. And that was a tough lesson for me to learn, because here I am back in 2017. I had a great launch, had about 20 some odd people, come out. I'm feeling hype and feeling like this is going to be like this all the time. Let me tell you something. There have been book signings where I've had one person, two people, three people, and you're like, I'm sharing the info through different platforms, or I'm sending out interview requests and all that type of thing. And you're thinking like, you gotta be kidding me, in regards to, I'm going to a city where I've got, people I know, nobody comes out and all that type of thing. Like, that was real frustrating early on, but I had to remind myself and had to pause and realize, like, when you're tapping into something different, or you're tapping into another gift you have, like when you start changing lanes, everyone might not necessarily change lanes with you. And that's okay, because they might not be at that point where they're ready to take the plunge or whatever. But I had to understand, like, amongst the people who know me now, I'm going to say this, there are a number of family members, friends, etc., who've been very kind, very supportive, very helpful. And there's some who have been less than. But that's going to happen because some people are used to seeing you operate in one space. And when you start evolving and operate in different spaces, well, everyone doesn't evolve to the same level, same degree. And sometimes, like, I'll say the distance that some people have, it's more because they haven't, if you think back to what I said about part of my prayer, the gifts that I've yet to discover, because other people haven't taken the notion of there's more in me that I need to take time to discover. But when other people are doing it, and sometimes when it's other people they know, I don't know what it is, whether it's self-resentment or whatever, but they always try to bring up who you used to be or just one part of you. And unfortunately, that's gonna happen at times. I had to realize that early. And I also had to remind myself that, hey, look, there's a bigger universe of people out there who don't know you. So you still have to stay dedicated to your craft. You still have to see what adjustments you make and things along those lines. And I'll say this, and some people kind of view, especially when you start doing something different, with a little bit of skepticism. It's almost like you think about when kids are younger, they want a telescope, and they get a telescope and they play around with it for a day or two, and the thing collects dust for like 50, 1100 years.
Yes.
And people think, well, oh, you wrote a book, let's see how serious you really are. And then when you start tapping into different topics or different styles and genres, then all of a sudden you're doing a book signing here, you're doing a festival here, you're doing a speaking engagement here. Now all of a sudden they're taking notice, like, wow, this person really is serious. And the reason I talk about that frustration is, like, if I had let frustration get the best of me, my third book, Nothing Minor, would have never happened. I'm going to tell you the true story behind Nothing Minor. So Nothing Minor is based on my coverage of minor league baseball during this summer of 2019, mainly in the Southeast. And a number of the players I covered are now on major league rosters. Well, I did a journalism series on it. And then here it is, September 2019. I'm back up in New Jersey. I had a ticket to my high school reunion. And initially I'm like, why am I going to go? I'm not going to see that many people, blah, blah, blah. My mom and dad, like, just go. spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then see what happens. Well, I went, and that hour and a half to 2 hours ended up being like the full 4 hours. And one of the things that really was kind of the hook and hold for me is one of my classmates asked me, so when is your book on baseball coming out? And I looked at him like a deer in headlights, like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, I read your series.
Wow.
And was really engaged by it. And he's like, when's your book coming out? So that was the seed that was planted, that had I gotten frustrated the previous 2 years when some things would be hit or miss, that was a blessing that would have been blocked. Now, fast forward, July of 2020 is when Nothing Minor drops. And then in 2021, part of the blessing is through Black College Sports Group 360, which is a Chicago-based nonprofit, which among their sports programming did a series of HBCU Diamond Classics in 2021. I was able to do book signings at the ballparks in Jacksonville, Florida, and Frisco, Texas, one of the suburbs of Dallas. And the special thing about doing the event in Frisco is one day I did a book signing, and then the very next day I wore my media hat and covered the game between Southern University and Arkansas Pine Bluff. Well, when I did post-game interviews with the winning team, Southern, one of the players I interviewed was a former player on the Jackie Robinson Little League team based out of Chicago that won the Little League World Series in 2014. And I was able to capture some of his story as a college student. He had already written a children's book, playing baseball, on track to graduate. So if I had blocked my blessing, and unfortunately we're going to block a few of them. You don't want to block too many of them.
Right.
But if I had held on to my resentment from people that hadn't showed up and showed out, then Nothing Minor would have never happened. Yeah. So I have to give shouts to the folks in my graduating class of Ocean Township High School in New Jersey. I'm not going to tell the year. I ain't going to give that much away. But I'm just saying that to where, pushback, disappointments, hurt feelings, unfortunately, are going to be part of it. And it's unfortunate from where those come from. But if you understand that you're running a marathon versus a sprint, and you stay dedicated to your craft, and you also understand that there's more people who don't know you than do know you, and when you're gradually doing those signings at whatever bookstores, festivals, whatever, then all of a sudden, like, some of those people who know you are going to end up starting to come around and be like, this person's real serious. And that real serious thing happened for me this past October, where I was a participating author for an event at the DuSable Museum in Chicago. And that didn't come from me doing the research and whatever. It was a friend of mine based in Greensboro, North Carolina, who sent me the info in August saying, hey, you might want to apply for this. And I'm glad that I did, because in addition to connecting with other authors, like mainly from Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, I guess I was the outlier being from Atlanta. I was able to meet and listen to Christian Gregory, who's the son of the late Dick Gregory. So he debuted one of his dad's posthumous books a week before he was supposed to debut it at the Schomburg in New York. And now the DuSable, basically for the authors that participated, we've got our books in their gift store as a reseller. So again, like, if I had let my frustration and disappointment get the best of me, there's one book that would have never been written. There's different places I wouldn't have been able to leave a footprint. And all of a sudden, the people who are seeing you, known and unknown, that are paying attention and seeing that you're serious and sincere and you're dedicated, like, these and other opportunities would have never opened up. So, have and I'm just saying that to anybody out there that's going through some hurt or rejection from family member, from a spouse, or your best, whatever, like, do what you need to pause and regroup and weather that particular storm. Do what you need to for your prayer, meditation, and if what you need to seek out like additional professional help and whatever, do it.
Okay.
And this is just me. If it's really in you, if it's really part of your gift, your passion, your purpose, and it's something that you see is going to allow you to grow personally, professionally, community-wise, spiritually, what have you, you owe it to yourself to at least investigate and explore. Because if not, you never know how that can be a bridge for you to be that presence that other people need, to be that example that if there's other people dealing with adversity and they see how you're dealing with it, the way you deal with it can motivate, encourage, and inspire someone that it is possible. It can be done. Because, I mean, that's just being totally transparent.
Right. Wow. Well, I thank you so much, Andrew. That was those were some great nuggets for each of the listeners out there to be able to take with them when they have some disappointments, or when they are pushing through to, relearn or find different avenues to share their work and just have that motivation to keep moving forward. So I thank you so much for sharing those stories with us and with all of the listeners. I want to know now, because I want to move to discussing some of your upcoming projects. I'm so excited. I saw some coffee out there, and I am a coffee lover. So tell the listeners about some of your upcoming projects, quickly.
Yeah, so real quickly, very excited to partner with Fonte's Coffee based out of Louisville, Kentucky.
Yay.
That again was if an example of where you keep everything in perspective. Real briefly, August of 2018, I did a book signing out there. Great support, met with some great people. We kept, that communication going. Earlier this year, we started talking a little bit more seriously about coming up with a coffee brand. We did the soft launch on October 30th when I did a book signing at Fonte's Coffee. Very well received. Thank yous to the entire ownership team, leadership team, etc. So we went officially live November 22nd. So when people visit the website fontescoffee.com/collections, and then under their collections landing page is the info for me, author Andrew Snorton. They really have been so kind and supportive. So for all the coffee lovers, the author Andrew Snorton blend, it is a medium blend, medium roast. So it has a little bit of a nudge, but not going over the top like sometimes your full body goes. But on top of being able to order right now, we're going to eventually roll it out into other places, but in addition to be able to order online, when you go to the collections piece, they are one of the newest, I'll say, stores, resellers. So they already have autographed copies of all 4 of my books. So it's your one-stop shop. And the blessing is, for any orders that are $60 or more, it's free shipping. So you can get a combo of a bag of coffee and a couple of pre-signed books, or a couple of bags in a book, and that way, that just doing like those types of combos, you can make your dollar stretch. And once you hit the $60 threshold, there's no shipping. So many thanks to that. And we kid around. I have to acknowledge Brandy Granderson, Esquire, for helping me with the hashtag Sip with Snorton. So definitely want to get you Sip with Snorton with the author Andrew Snorton blend. And of course, real briefly, the most recent release, Quotes and Notes, Something on the Horizon, is a compilation of mostly original quotes by me. There's one quote that I actually borrowed from my grandmother that is really, really powerful and positive. So it's part motivation, encouragement, etc. But the beauty of it is the reader gets the logic and rationale behind it, and then there's a space for them to journal to see if that's something that meshes with them, or if they feel they can go further. So it's journal elements, but not heavy-handed. It's deep thoughts, but deep enough And it allows the reader freedom and flexibility to go ahead and say, hey, this is something I can roll with, or like, you know what, I can come up with something better. And we know that our thoughts, you know, how important the mind is. Our thoughts kind of direct what we speak, what we do. And so if we do a better job of getting our thoughts in alignment, it can plant the seeds, no pun intended, it can plant the seeds to go ahead and do some great things. And I'll have to say this, you don't know this, but you're going to know this now. In the very back, when I acknowledge like fellow authors, guess whose name is actually mentioned in this?
Wow.
So I made sure to shout you out. I sure did.
Oh
so I had to let the cat out the bag. I made sure I'll have to take a picture and tag you in it. But yeah, I made sure in the acknowledgments, I made sure you're one of the authors because like I said, you have poured in, and you still are pouring into a lot of people through your work, you know, as an author, what you're doing through your podcast. And it's like, you know, you shout out, you got to acknowledge and shout to people. So yeah, partner. Yeah. You in there. I
am misty eyed, and you know, I was already ready to say I'm going to order my coffee. I mean my coffee, because I am a coffee lover, and I told you, you know, offline I couldn't wait to support. But oh my gosh, Andrew, thank you so much, and congratulations, because again, you know, I'm excited for you. I'm very proud, and now I'm just like, my heart is so touched. But you know, thank you so much for the shout out. And once again, I'm a big supporter of, you know, all that you do, and I can't wait to get my coffee, you know, and turn around and see my name on the back too.
Hey, you're welcome. And it's like I said before, you know what? You take time to acknowledge people who have spoken life into you. And like I said before, and it's something I talk about in quotes and notes, what you do, like for you, like what you do, that's just who you are. But you don't know how being who you are can leave a positive impact on other people. So you think about like what you do day to day, like, well, that's just how I am. But you being how you are, you never know, just like the name of your podcast, just like your work and what have you, you never know how many people you are building up and encouraging and motivating. And like I've said a number of times, like we feed off of energy. You feed off of positive energy, it allows you to do positive things. You feed off something different, you're going to put out something different. So it's where just had to say thank you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you know, of course we can continue to go on, but I'm so grateful for that acknowledgement. And always I want to ask you, because we're always, you know, going from book signing to, you know, saying meeting and greeting other people, but I want you to tell the listeners, just share with us some of the things that you do outside of business. Share with us, you know, so we can know what are some things that you like to do.
Wow, some things I like to do other than reading, writing, and speaking. Let's see. Walking is a hobby of mine. And I'll admit, I, like a lot of people, when COVID first hit, there were so many things you could do. And thankfully, the closest park is within like a 10-minute drive of home. And so while I'm not going every day, I think on average, I'll probably go like 4 days a week. Usually try to get about 3.5 miles of walking in. And that is, especially when I go bright and early in the morning, that's my time for reading, prayer time, meditation. And then the rest of the time, you know, just trying to stay in shape. You know, we got to do things a little bit differently as we get older. But not only that, just being a big kid, I'm like, wow, there's like ducks in the pond, or squirrels hopping around, or birds flying around. Every once in a while, it'll be like those big birds, like some hawks and falcons and stuff. I'm like, don't look at me for your breakfast.
Right. Wow.
But yeah, walking is a big thing. Sports are a little bit different for me because I've covered on the press and media end, like minor league baseball, minor league hockey, college football, professional bull riding. Don't ask me how that happened. like it is kind of hard for me to like watch a game through the lens of a fan because I'm so used to looking at it through a different perspective. But attempting to watch sports as a fan is kind of a hobby. Music, oh my goodness, I don't play as much as I used to, but different genres, you know, R&B, old school hip hop, digging deeper into gospel, jazz, a little bit of rock. Yeah, music is always just great just to kind of listen and vibe to. And of course, you get a chance to catch it live, like go to a lounge and, you know, for the 21 and older, have a 21 and older beverage and a light bite and good company. Like that is always a lot of fun. And I'll tell you what else is fun for me, being near water. I think part of it, like the area where I grew up in middle school and high school is maybe about a 15-minute drive from the Atlantic Ocean. And when I do get a chance to go back home, I'll get up bright and early in the morning and to see the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean, whether it's in Jersey or Florida or Georgia, whatever, it is so peaceful. And even during this past holiday time for Thanksgiving, the area where I used to go as a kid in southwestern Kentucky, there's a lake at the bottom of the hill not too far from where my grandmother and grandfather used to live, and being able to get out there bright and early and see like that combo of like the mist, the fog, and the different colors bouncing off the lake. I wasn't quick enough to catch a photo of the deer like staring at me and then running off and all that type of thing. Like those are just peaceful things. But yeah, sports, music, a little bit of outdoors time, spending time with good people. You know, as you get older, you know, everyone has different things. Some people have families, or work responsibilities or whatever, but we never get a chance to just sit down and break bread with good people. That's always a blessing. And even when I do have to travel for a book signing or covering a game or whatever, I always try to build in like a block of time where, you know, like whenever I go back to North Carolina, what was really a blessing for my school's homecoming was I'm on my gap year as I kid around for like being on this advisory board or whatever. And it was neat to be able to drive up to Pilot Mountain, which is like a 35 minute drive north on US Highway 52 from Winston-Salem. And to be able to get there when the park first opens and seeing the sunrise and just feeling that type of breeze and all it, that was just so peaceful. So sunrises, sunsets, live music, sports, walking and exercise. Those are some of the things I like to do just to kind of, and of course, whenever you get a chance to spend time with good people, family, you know, friends of yours, you know, things along those lines. Those are things that help give me balance from the next masterpiece or whatever, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, right. Definitely.
So those sound like some amazing things to do. Love music, love food, love hanging around and being around good people. So I thank you for sharing that with us. We always need to know how you're relaxing and how you, like you said, gearing up for the next thing that you're doing. Andrew, it's been amazing time, you know, talking with you on the show. But I want you, as we begin to wrap up, I want you to share your final thoughts with the listeners out here at Inspirational Talks. What's your final thoughts that you want to leave with us?
Wow, I would say do what you can to strike a balance. Like we just alluded to, you definitely need to, there's going to be times where based on the next great thing you're going to do that your energy and time is going to shift there, but find balance. It's okay to catch up on rest. It's okay to have a day where you kind of just, you know, pause. It's okay to do those types of things. Like you taking a breather doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you're not doing anything. Sometimes you do need to pause. So try to strike a balance. The next thing is kind of what I alluded to. As consciously as possible, don't block your blessings. Sometimes your blessings are going to come from unexpected people unexpected places. Be open to that. And like I've said, there are people who, quote, I didn't know or haven't known as long, who have been great advocates for me to be in different spaces and places. So don't block your blessings. Pursue your passion. We've heard that all the time. If your passion, as long as your passion is allowing you positive growth, then you need to pursue it. And as you grow, you have a better capacity to help other people grow, or at least, quote, politely challenge them to grow. And I'll just say this, you have to understand where your blessings come from. You have to remain grounded. When you remain grounded, you are confident that you can do something, but the confidence doesn't spill over into arrogance. You are humble when those opportunities come from unexpected spaces and places, but it's not humble like being meek. It's humble with, I am, surprised. I'm grateful. And this is going to help me build and maintain my confidence to continue to step into these spaces and places. And in addition to that, I'll just say this: don't let anybody silence your voice. You have a voice. You have a platform. You have a presence. Don't let anyone silence it or stifle it, because if there are people who silenced or stifled, then a lot of us wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much. And we thank you from all of the listeners here at Inspirational Talks. I'm talking about our thoughts. Inspirational Talks, sharing your final thoughts of keeping that balance and continue to be who you've been created to be in so many words. And I thank you so much for just sharing with us your story, all of what you've done, all of what you're doing, and all that is yet to come. And so, Andrew, again, we thank you for being here. And we just want you to continue to do everything that your heart desires, and everything that God places in your hands and in your mind to do. Just before we leave, could you please tell the listeners where they can follow you on social media?
Sure, definitely. For those who are on Facebook, you may follow me at the page Author Andrew Snorton, AUTHORANDREWSNORTON. On Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, you may follow and add me at Author A Snorton. You may also email me for autographed or personalized copies of any of the books, any interviews, speaking engagements, what have you. That's going to be authorsnorton@gmail.com. And the easiest thing, website wise, when you add me on Instagram at Author A Snorton, you can click on the link in the bio. That'll take you to the website where you can go through and really find out just about everything. And for those who are on Amazon, my author page is amazon.com/author/Author A Snorton. And that way you can continue to find out more. And in addition to ordering any of the books on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, please inbox me. Because there's some great independent bookstores who've been very supportive, and we can't leave them out. Any author out there, please build relationships with your independent bookstores. They will give you some great opportunities to engage with people. So shouts to all the indie bookstores, festivals, etc., that have allowed me the opportunity to go and grow. And those are really some of the main things.
All right. Well, you've heard it here, everyone. Be sure that you go and follow him so you can continue to follow his journey, get these great books, and order you some coffee. So, Andrew, again, I want to thank you for coming on Inspirational Talks with your host tonight, LaDonna Marie. It's been a blessing to have you here. Thank you, and I want you to have a great night. To all of you out there listening, be sure to share the podcast with your friends and family, and come back and visit us on Monday nights at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Peace and blessings, everybody.
This has been another purpose-packed episode of Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie, a Planting Positive Seeds podcast. Please remember to like, share, and tell your friends about the podcast. Stay tuned for many more Inspirational Talks with LaDonna Marie.